From starting college in the U.S. at age 16 to working as a paramedic in New York City, facing 9/11. So many stops in between to his current role as head of the New York Police Department's Special Victims Unit. My guest this evening has been busy. He is Michael King. I'm Archibald. Michael King, welcome to Profile.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us from New York, where you're the head of the New York Police Department Special Victims Unit, the SVU, as people who are familiar with Law and Order SVU might know. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on, but I wanted to start by talking about the fact that you come here very often, back to Jamaica. Why is that?
Well, I still have family there. You know, I am a son of Jamaica, so I always try to come back as many times as possible.
And one of the reasons you say is because you have family. This would be your...
My mother is there, and I also have a brother, two brothers still living there.
These are the people you grew up with in Montego Bay. And when you say a mother, you're not referring to your biological mother in this case.
Right, so I have my biological mother is there, and I also have my mom who actually raised me. She was my uncle's wife, so she raised me as a son.
Now, you've talked about that sort of relationship and about, you've described it as completely amazing, that childhood. Why would you describe it as amazing?
Well, growing up in Montego Bay, I was in a solid family unit, you know, mother, father. My cousin was actually raised as my brother, sister. So just the school, attending Cornwall College, which in itself was another amazing experience, high school there. Just being a child in Jamaica, running free, it was, and then comparing that to what I see here in New York City, it was just two different worlds. And to me, just a lot of fun. Every day growing up in Jamaica was just, you know, a lot of fun.
No, we want to talk about those two different worlds, as you say, just in a moment. But you also spoke about the fact that your parents, where were your biological parents at the time?
So my mother was, biological mother was still there. My father was JDF when I was born. And shortly after, he migrated to the United States to be with his mother, who was living in Brooklyn.
So that different world that you're talking about, that transition really occurred when you moved to the United States to go and live with your father at age 16, having graduated from Cornwall College. That sounds like an amazing, a huge sort of transition. What was that like?
Well, leaving Cornwall College in Jamaica, coming to New York with my father, the only thing I knew in Brooklyn was the street that I lived on. And I could walk to college, it was Medgar Evers College at the time. And I was able to walk from home to school. And that was the only path I knew. If you put me one block over, I would be lost. That's the only thing I knew. It wasn't until later on in life that I started to move around New York more freely and trying to find my way around. But initially moving there, the only thing I knew was that one street, walking to school and back home. That was it.
And so in a sense, you're completely sheltered at that point. And at 16, going to college, which was completely unusual as well.
Right. Now, I didn't know that. When I attended college, I was 16. I was the youngest in the college. So the nickname that they had for me there was Doogie Howser, based on the TV show that the young teenage boy
who became a doctor.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that was my nickname. And again, I didn't understand why. I thought everyone went to college right after high school at 15, 16 years old. Come to find out in America is totally not the case. It's very different. So that in itself, navigating college at 16, where when I was in high school, you had to be in class. You know, you always had a teacher behind you saying you had to be in school. And in college it was different. You were paying to be in college. If you attended class, good. If not, no one was behind you. You were paying your money, and that's all they cared about. So very, very different environment, but I had to quickly acclimate myself to it.
And at the same time, you're dealing with the fact that you were not dealing with the fact, but you're doing something now other than you did in college. So explain that transition, because you started out doing business administration in college. So how did you end up on this path?
So I was doing business administration with a minor in biology. And my father actually one day came home, he had a brochure, something called an emergency medical technician that worked on ambulances in the emergency medical service here in New York. And in Jamaica, I didn't know what an EMT was. I told him I wasn't interested right away. And he left the pamphlet on a table in the kitchen. And one day I looked at it and started perusing it. And I actually went to the hospital I was given the course and sat through their briefing of what it was. And it sounded very good. And it was a 3-month course. I took it. And in 3 months, I was out the door, took the state test, riding ambulances in Bedford-Stuyvesant. And that, again, this is, you have someone who didn't know anything about New York City. And now I'm in Bedford-Stuyvesant, one of the worst crime areas in New York. We had bullet holes in the ambulance, and we were driving around to medical emergencies all around Brooklyn. You kind of grow up fast doing something like that.
Yeah, I would imagine. And so you're moving along essentially through what was the EMS field, emergency medical services. So from being an EMT to eventually becoming a paramedic, and
yes,
then continuing to work in other areas of the field. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that transition and as well your transition to the police force. We are speaking with the head of the New York Police Department's Special Victims Unit, Michael King. He is with us from New York, and we're going to be continuing this discussion on Profile right after this break.